We have made some significant changes in the Strongroom functionality, especially regarding the way it handles deeds and wills. So before we go into the Strongroom, the first difference you'll notice is while you're setting up your item types in here. As you can see now, you've got your code and your descriptions as before, but now we also have two more columns here that indicate whether an item type is used for either deeds or wills. Before this we used to have just the codes DEE for a deed and WIL for a will, but now you can, for example, create another code and also use it for wills, in case you need to, for whatever reason, distinguish between two different types of wills in your Strongroom. The same thing goes for deeds. When you go into the Strongroom page, whether it's for a particular case or whether you go to the search open, you go to the firm-wide Strongroom page, it doesn't matter, you'll see a couple of differences between what you're used to and what you'll have now. The first one is that the item type, which used to be showing you just the code of the item type, now shows you the actual description. That's a minor little change. And the second thing is this ATR column here. Now if you're coming from a version version 5.4.1.18, you'll also see a new column attention here, which was introduced in 5.4.1.18, which tells you whether the item needs attention or not. And this one tells you whether it's an accountable trust receipt, yes or no. So let's see what happens when we add a new file. And for the moment I'm going to concentrate on deeds only. So we'll pick an item type that is a deed. And you'll notice that it'll add another tab there for deeds. So let's just fill in the most important bits here. And go to the deeds tab, and you can just add the deeds address and a new field here called property owner. However, you can also choose to flag this deed as an unaccountable trust receipt. If you do that, you'll see that a lot more stuff will appear in your screen. First of all, you'll get the date and a new field called the due date. You can add a comment. This is the property owner, let's just shuffle down a bit. And then you can add two fields, from whom and to whom. Now you can either pick any one of your case associates or add a professional while you're at it, or if it's not one of your case associates, like if he's not in this list here, or she, then you can type the actual name there and leave this blank. We've ticked accountable trust receipt, so as you can see now there's a tick in this column here, and you can also filter on accountable trust receipts only, for example, on items that are not accountable trust receipts, or just show everything. We might also decide that this item needs attention, and you'll see that this icon here appears to show you clearly that the item needs attention. And again, you can filter on items that do need attention only, so that you see the most important things in your grid. The changes to the wills functionality aren't quite as dramatic, but still significant. So let's pick a will. Just enter some significant information here. And go to the Wills tab, And we'll see that we still have the same information that we used to have, the testator and the executors, but we've added a couple of small additions, including the will date and the estate. We now have the date of death, when the person whose will it was has become deceased, and we've also added 2 more executors, so you can actually enter up to 4 executors. Now, when you want to withdraw a document, a file, the functionality has slightly changed as well. The first thing you'll notice is that there's a new button there, Withdraw Permanently. So we can choose to withdraw a document as we always have. And so on. And you can see it has now gone out, and then replace it as before. However, we can also now withdraw a file and say no, instead of withdrawing it for a particular fee earner, we're now going to withdraw it permanently. For example, if the will goes to probate or something like that. As you can see, you will then not be able to select the fee earner, because when the file is withdrawn permanently, it will have gone to an external, to a third party. And that's gone now. Now you will find that if you then highlight this document, you will not be able to replace it, because the file is no longer available. It cannot be replaced again. A supervisor user will be able to create views on the Strongroom that are specifically useful to the site that they're working on. So let's say in this case we're looking at a firm that deals a lot with wills, so they might want a view that concentrates specifically on wills. In the standard view you just get all of this, but you don't get any indication of, other than the item type, what you're actually looking at. And even here now we've got 2 different item types that deal with wills. So what are we going to do with this? Well, let's first of all start with the column chooser. And remember, we're logged in as a supervisor user. So the first thing we do is we'll add this column here called will. And all that does is it provides an indication along the same lines as these 2 columns that will tell you whether you're looking at a will or not. So we'll filter this on yes. So in this view now we will only see wills and no other type of Strongroom document. Then we're going to look at other columns. So for example, when we're talking about a will, we're looking at the testator. That's an important bit of information. And the executors of the will. And we may be interested in some other information, like for example the will date, and perhaps the date of death, and the estimate estate. These are all bits of information that are relevant specifically to wills. So once we've created this view, we might just tidy it up a little bit so that everything is wide enough to hold its content. Then we can create this as a view. Make it a shared view and add it. So that now people will be able to go, instead of using their standard view, to look at wills specifically.